concrete walls. There's a place for us where we could go, where we could be alone. Between city lights, we don't have to hide. I wanna go, do you wanna follow? There's something in the air, I can't explain it, but it's there. Ain't nobody gonna find us in our secret love affair. I don't wanna have to hide no more, it shouldn't be unfair. I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? Baby, do you wanna follow? Come with me, do you wanna follow? Baby, can't you see that? I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? Baby, do you wanna follow? Come with me, do you wanna follow? Baby, can't you see that? I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? I can't understand why we can't hold hands, but they don't know what we have is real love. Aren't you sick and tired of having to hide? I know a place, do you wanna follow? There's something in the air, I can't explain it, but it's there. Ain't nobody gonna find us in our secret love affair. I don't wanna have to hide no more, it shouldn't be unfair. I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? Baby, do you wanna follow? Come with me, do you wanna follow? Baby, can't you see that? I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? Do you wanna follow? Baby, do you wanna follow? Come with me, do you wanna follow? Baby, can't you see that? I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow?
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the live stream. Happy Monday evening to you all. It's good to be back. For those of you who missed my Sunday stream, for whatever reason, if this is your first one, since I came back from vacation, very good to be with you. I took a little vacation with my family. I went down to Orlando, went down to Miami. Took a vacation. I took a little vacation with my family, went down to Orlando, went down to Miami. It doesn't really flow, does it? It doesn't really flow. It rhymes. Could work that. That's it. That's why I'll never be a great lyricist. I got that far. I was like, oh, there's potential here. And now I'm back. That's not where I went. That's not where I meant to be. Here's where I meant to be. How's it going, everybody? Got my Elevate shirt on. What's Elevate doing lately? Elevate, are they still making content? Are they still out there? There was a big, Corey had a t-shirt. He had some motors. What's going on with Elevate? Well, that's not the Elevate I'm talking about. Elevate FPV. Pilot-owned business. Yes, that's true. That's true. About us. Team Elevate. Slat. Rodeo. Information. Are you still making content? I mean, obviously, Slat and Rodeo and Cricket. When's the last time Cricket made content? What's up, bro? How long you been? 3 weeks ago. Well, that's not bad. 30-degree weather. Sheesh. Mm. Oh. Oh. Oh my God. Okay, so it's a special night. This is a very special bottle of bourbon. It's special because last Christmas, Fabio sent me a bottle of bourbon. He ordered it from somewhere local and had it shipped to me. And it was a much more expensive bottle of bourbon than I would buy for myself, and it was delicious. It was, by coincidence, it was from the same company that I sometimes buy a mildly expensive bottle of bourbon. And I don't know if you know, but like the curve on quality difference between liquors, it levels off. Like the difference between, say, a $60 and a like $120 bottle of liquor is substantial. And then as you get into the more expensive, they're not as, so. A little while later, I was like, a little while later, he said, "Hey, did you get that bottle of bourbon I sent you for Christmas, or maybe it was my birthday? I think it might have been my birthday." And I said, did I get it? I thought I got it. And I went up and I looked in my cabinet, and there was the same bottle of liquor that I always buy, the same bourbon. Unbeknownst to me, it was the very expensive gift bottle he got me, but it looked the same. And I freaked out for a minute. I was like, "Oh shit! Did I not get that present that she sent me? How did I overlook this?" And I said to him, "No, I guess I didn't." And he said, "Oh, don't worry." He said, "Why?" Well, I think he might have said, "Why didn't you say something about it?" Anyway. And he called the company and he said, "Well, look, it was supposed to have been shipped out, but the guy didn't get it." And they said, "No problem. We'll send him another one." So that bottle has been sitting in my cabinet unopened because now I know it's a very expensive bottle of bourbon. And tonight it's been opened, and do you know what it's very good. Of course, there's some placebo effect there now that I know that it's an expensive bottle, but here's the thing though. The occasion, why did I crack it? I was out of bourbon. My normal daily drinking bourbon, I just killed it last week and didn't buy more. And then as I was going into the live stream, I was just like, I might have a little drink tonight. I didn't have any bourbon. I was like, well, I guess it's time to open the $250 bottle of bourbon. So that's where we're at. Welcome to the live stream, everybody. We are going to take your questions. We're going to take your questions. I'm going to take your questions here. My normal daily is Knob Creek. Is it Knob Creek? I think so. I have to go look. I don't know. I just go into the store and I buy whatever it looks good. I think it's Knob Creek is what I normally buy. I don't go through a lot of bourbon. Bullet is okay. I don't drink Bullet bourbon because I had a friend way back when Bullet bourbon first came out. I had a friend who was like, "This new bourbon is so good. Oh, he was always trying to get you to drink Bullet bourbon and raving about how good it was." And I don't know, just like now I don't, I'm like, nah, I don't. I'll be taking your questions here in the chat. I'll be taking questions from these folks over in the Discord server, of course. And I will be reading your super chats. If you want to hit the $ down here and leave a super chat. We got any super chats yet? Oh, we have a couple super chats already. I'll get to those a little later in the stream. Good to see you, Kim Fused. I do like to make old-fashioned Kim Fused. That's one of my favorite drinks, is an old-fashioned. I'll tell you, I had a Cali FPV got a super chat for me. Let me just tag these, and we'll get to these in a bit. I had a I did a little bit of a drink of the month, a cocktail of the month thing for a little while. And one of the cocktails they sent out was a chai tea old fashioned. So you make chai tea, which, by the way, I know that chai tea is redundant because chai means tea, but, you know, American. You make chai tea. You have chai tea and bourbon, and I think it was chocolate bitters in an old fashioned made, and some citrus, I think, probably orange or something. It was really good. So, let's talk about something important. It's not one of your questions, but it's something important that happened today. I actually wasn't going to talk about this tonight, but I'm told that this video has dropped. And then if it's dropped, where did it post? Is it on the FTCA? Is it on the FTCA page? If I can't find it. Yes, 51 minutes ago. Call to action for remote ID. We need your help. So we're not going to sit here and watch this whole 8-minute video. Wait, let me pause on a better picture of Josh Bixler's face. Let's get a you know, a nice smile or something. Actually, I'm going to stop there. We're just going to stop there. Flight test. I'm going to be doing a video about this. I'm going to be interviewing Bixler tomorrow and publishing on my channel probably Wednesday or Thursday. But I want to put this video out there as a signal boost. After you finish watching the whole live stream, right? After you finish watching the whole live stream, go check this video out. Flight Test Community Association is making a push for some action that we'd like it to change the way that FAA regulations are. And in order to get more, I'm not going to paraphrase it. I'm going to talk to Bixler tomorrow and we're going to get all the details. Or after this live stream's done, you can go watch this 8-minute video. Watch it on 2x speed if that's too much time for you. And find out what they're actually saying. But the short version is that... how do I want to put this? We need to make our voices heard as the FPV community, because when you think about the voices that are at the table, and I literally mean at a table, like, okay, maybe it's a Zoom call, like there's meetings being held with FAA, with representatives of the AMA, and with representatives of the Flight Test Community Association and the FPV Freedom Coalition. And decisions are being made and voices are being heard. And one of the voices at the table is much louder and more numerous, the AMA. And the AMA doesn't have the interests of FPV hobbyists at heart. There are people in the AMA who would say that's not true. We support FPV. But what the AMA fundamentally supports, and this is me speaking, not for anybody else, just me. What the AMA fundamentally supports is their members. And there's nothing wrong with that. At the end of the day, an organization like the AMA represents the interests of their dues-paying members. That's correct. But the interests of their members don't coincide with the interests of people who fly FPV the way that we fly FPV. In other words, not at fixed flying fields. And so the fact that the AMA has an outsized, a large voice, a proportional voice to their membership, they have a huge number of members, so be it, means that in order for us to have our interests heard, we need to speak louder. And Flight Test, I have all the faith in the world that folks like Josh Bixler, folks like Dave Messina at the FPV Freedom Coalition and the Flight Test Community Association. And by the way, those are two names that come to the top of the list, but obviously there are many more people working, and I certainly don't mean to leave them out. I have every faith that those folks speak for me. And when they say, here's something that we can do that is meaningful, even if I don't understand like all the ins and outs, I go, okay, yes, Captain, my captain. What do you need from me? And this is one of those times. So I'll be talking about this tomorrow in an interview with them. We'll edit it. We'll get it up on the channel. They've posted this video 51 minutes ago. When you get a chance, go check this out. And then do whatever they say. Whatever they're asking you to do. They don't do it a lot. Okay? I think that the thing that they're pushing for is to raise the 250 gram limit to 1 kilogram. And you might say, why that? Why not something else? And I say, yes, Captain. Because these are the guys who have been sitting in the meetings. These are the guys who can't necessarily tell you all of the stuff that's in play because it would piss people off and then they would lose leverage. But if they say this is something that they think is significant, then I'm for it. So even if you are an outlaw and you don't intend to comply with the rules, or maybe you're not complying now, there are people. It's still. Let me put it this way. Cannabis legalization in the United States. There are lots of places where cannabis is illegal. There are some places where cannabis is varying degrees of legal. There are lots of people in the world, in the United States, who use cannabis even though it's illegal, and they intend to keep doing it. It still is meaningful to push to make laws less restrictive so that people who choose to comply with the law have more freedom, and so that people who break the law and get caught can be punished for fewer things. So even if you don't give a damn about remote ID, if you care about FPV, if you care about anybody out there who is complying with the law or who breaks the law, breaks the rules, they're not laws, technically they're regulations, who breaks the rules and gets caught, then get behind this movement. Okay, enough said about that. Let's take questions. Ghost Branch FPV says, I'd love to see the weight limit raised to 1 kilogram, but honestly, I think the chances of this happening are pretty slim. The 250 gram weight limit wasn't chosen arbitrarily. Actually, it was chosen arbitrarily. I don't have all the details. Blunty talked about this in a video that I watched, and I heard what he said and was like, oh, that's interesting. And then I forgot the details. But the 250 gram weight limit is based on some Civil War ballistics experiment where they estimated like what a dangerous cannonball. I don't know. See, I told you I wouldn't know the details. And then somewhere along the lines, they got the idea that this number of joules of energy was dangerous. And that all the way down the line is where the 250 gram weight limit comes from. And so actually, I think one of the ways they intend to approach this is that the 250 gram weight limit is basically arbitrary, and there needs to be an evidence-based, safety-based approach to the weight limit, and they're going to argue that 1 kilogram is where it should be. Anyway. Questions. I'm going to take your questions. Okay. Here's a question from Kaz. Try to get me off this. I'm just going to sip bourbon and talk about remote ID for 45 minutes. Let's not do that. Kaz asks, I'm looking at getting the Attitude V6. Are there any alternatives I should look at? Or would that be a good decision for an analog goggle? The HDO2 is a bit too much for my price range. The Attitude V6 is a solid goggle. I couldn't say what you're going to pay for it. I think you must be buying it used, right? Because I'm pretty sure it's not sold in new. And so the Attitude V6 is okay. Yeah, if you can get an Attitude V6 at a good price, it's solid. It's got an HDMI input. It was made to work with HD0, so it's okay. Get it at a good price. It's not the worst. It really depends on what you're paying for it, though. Let's see here. Did they even have grams during the Civil War? Good point. John Goblin. Oh, buddy. John Goblin. This is... can you give me some pointers on PID tuning a 7-inch drone? I have filters set, but I'm unsure what I should be aiming for as far as which way to move the sliders or the PIDs. I have wobbles in flight on stock PIDs and the few 7-inch presets aren't working well. John Goblin, if you have wobbles in flight and the presets aren't working for you, I would try changing the PWM frequency in the ESC. This is a bit of just kind of a punt, but it's something that you didn't try already, and it's something that often solves this problem when you say wobbles in flight. It often will address that problem. So if your ESC is at like 48 kilohertz, try raising it to 96. Try lowering it to 24. There's not a guarantee as to which way is going to make it better, but a lot of times changing the PWM frequency in BL Heli will sort of shake things up and make things better. Without seeing those wobbles. John Goblin, if you send me, like, if you upload a video to Discord, we can look at the wobbles, and maybe we'll get more. Oh, he already did it. Ha! Let's just take a quick look at it. Oh, I see that this is DVR. It would be better if it had audio, John, so we could hear the motors. We're going to look anyway. Ooh, that's interesting. No, I take it back. That's not the PWM frequency. Is that the wobble you're talking about right there, John? You gonna do it again? We're gonna see it while we're flying forward. Little bobbles there. I think you're talking about those little bobbles. So I actually don't think you mean the great big, this instability after the punch out. That I would think that those were two separate things. The instability after the punch out is because you're moving the throttle rapidly, and that can be fixed with anti-gravity gain. It may also be that your idle speed is too low, and so a motor is slightly stalling when you drop the throttle. The little jerks in flight, I do think it's worth trying to change the PWM frequency and see if that fixes it. It's not guaranteed, but it's worth a try. Those little jerks in flight, I mean, I feel like that's a gyro or filtering issue, not a PID issue. Steve Tricks has a couple of suggestions for settings. So, Steve, you've got PWM frequency low at 24K and high at by RPM. So you are doing, that is another thing you can try, is variable PWM frequency in BLHeli 32. That may work, but I would try a fixed PWM frequency first. John, if you're on 24K PWM, don't lower it to 16. Take it up as high. Try taking it up as high as it'll go. Just try that. And see if that fixes it. Super Deluxe. I got a package from you today, Super Deluxe. Thank you for sending me that stuff. Let's get a couple super chats now. We've got some super chats queued up. And the first one is going to be from Kim Fused FPV. I posted a build picture and someone asked me what side of the frame does my XT60 come out? Why would it matter? I can't imagine why it would matter. Left or right? No, I can't imagine why it would matter. Why would anyone... Can anyone in the chat tell me why you would care whether the XT60 comes out the left or the right? Cheech FPV asks, have you flown a 5-inch quad with AM32? If so, was it better or worse than BL Heli? I have. I reviewed the SkyStars stack. I reviewed this in this video. This has AM32. Yes, thank you, Joshua. This has AM32 on it. Was it better or worse than BL Heli? Indistinguishable. You really have to either be doing some serious bench testing, like Chris Rosser is, to see the differences, or you have to be really pushing a quadcopter and PID tuning and really going back and forth. Most people aren't going to notice a difference, in my opinion. So I don't think most people are going to notice a difference. Callie FPV, thank you for a $5 super chat. Thanks for the best stream for all FPV pilots to get together and shoot the shit. Well, thank you for that, for your donation, and thank you for the kind words, Callie. How do I roll back V3 firmware on a V2 Cobra X goggle? Scott Besson. You would need... Well, okay. The short answer is I don't know. You would need the V3 firmware file, which you can only get from SkyZone. And then you would need the goggle to allow you to roll back firmware, which not all systems will let you roll back firmware. Scott, I'm gonna refund this super chat because I just don't know the answer. I'll tell you what I can do. I tell you what here's what I'm gonna do. I got you, Scott. I'm gonna ask Daniel from SkyZone. Someone is asking me, how do I roll back the V3 firmware on a V2 Cobra X goggle? I don't really understand the question. Do you know the answer? Okay. I've just asked the owner of SkyZone your question. And based on that, I'm going to keep your $5 super chat, and I'll let you know if he answers me. I don't know the answer. Joey W says V33 hardware won't take the V3 firmware. Yeah, but he says it's a V2 Cobra X, not a V3. Get this chair at the right height. Okay. Scott Besson, I will let you know if Daniel from SkyZone replies to me. It is, if he's in China, it's about 8 a.m. right now, so he may, I don't know, he may get to me before the end of the stream. Michael Woods says, thank you for a $5 super chat, Michael Woods. I'm looking to do my first DIY build and decided on Walk Snail. Which one of your kits should I use and what would I need to add or change to it? So what I would suggest you do, so first of all, I don't have a build tutorial for Walk Snail. However, the Walk Snail VTX solders up the same as the Vista. So it should be okay with a little bit of ingenuity for you to figure out how to do it. But I would say that you should buy, you have two options here. If you buy the HD version of the kit, then you can sell the Vista, replace it with the Walksnail VTX, and get a little bit of your money back. Or you could buy the analog version of the kit, and you're probably just going to get rid of the VTX. You're probably not going to sell it for anything. Scott Basone, Joey W. in the Discord says all you have to do is drop the files on the storage drive as usual, and it will flash, as long as you have the V2 hardware, not the V33 hardware. Okay? Matt, thank you for a $2 super chat. RC and Power GTS V2 or AF 227 1950, which would you pick? Oh, we got a equipment showdown. All right. So we've got the RC and Power GTS V2 2207. Oh, or the AF 22. So between these two, the KV. So the GTS V2 only comes at 1860 kV. The Axis Flying is 1960 kV. If you really want that higher kV, then you would get the Axis Flying. But I think the RC and Power is a better motor. So, first of all, RC and Power just makes great motors. That's a fact. Axis Flying also makes good motors. But, like, for example, Unibel, not a Unibel. Most people would take a Unibel. Especially because the RC and Power is $24 and the Axis Flying is $26. So now we got a $2 more expensive motor. I think the RC and Power is probably the better motor. Not that the Axis Flying is bad. Axis Flying usually makes good stuff. But RC and Power just makes really, really top-notch motors. So I would take the GTS V2. Personally. Does bourbon make Bardwell better at Fall Guys? I doubt it. Nothing can make me good at Fall Guys. We got a question here from Crease. Now that Betaflight 4.4 is out, what's been confusing people the most in the configurator? The cloud build. From the video I put out today, the fact that people don't understand how cloud build works and they're leaving features out of Betaflight and then not understanding why it doesn't work. That's what's been confusing people the most. No question. Crease with another $5 super chat. The SkyZone Fusion board is $25. Is this what I need to upgrade my SteadyView module? Yes, I think it is, Crease. Can anyone confirm that the V1 SteadyView module can be updated with the new V33 Fusion board? I think that it is, but I'm not 100% sure. Yes, Bitterroot FPV says yes. Thank you, B-Man FPV, for a $5 super chat. Any crazy road stories from your trip? I drove a trailer down a one-way street and had to back it all the way out and do a K-turn in someone's driveway. That was scary. I was the moment when I realized I had driven all the way down a one-way street and was now basically hosed was, I was one of those man up moments, where you're like, okay, I got to do this. I think of, it's pretty much the same as all these other like life and death experiences that you've heard stories about, where people are presented with an intractable situation, and they discover inside themselves a well of strength and self-assurance that they didn't know existed. And instead of shrinking from the moment, they rise to the occasion and overcome. It was pretty much just like that. No, not really any crazy stories. Thank you, Deuce FPV, for a $50 super chat. Just wanted to give you thanks for helping me bind and link and set up my beta flight with my Nazgul Evoke. I'm enjoying it very much. Thank you so much, Deuce, and thank you for the very, very generous donation. Oh, this is a good question. What are these lines? Skesix wants to know. What are these lines in my LCOS display? It's in both displays. Okay, so that's number one. If it's in both displays, then it's not something to do with the lens or the optics, because that would only be one eye. It does look like a reflection, doesn't it, Tim Z? But I'm going to guess that it isn't. You guys can't see this. Hang on. There we go. I'm going to guess it's not a reflection. If it's in both displays, then it's got to be something to do with the screen driver. Is it on all inputs? Like, can you switch it to HDMI and see if it goes away? I mean, I don't think it's going to be something you can easily fix. I don't know what it is. It's there on all inputs. And it's on both screens, and it's identical on both of them. It can't, if it's identical on both screens, then it's got to be something to do with like the display driver and not the screen itself. But what is it? I couldn't say. No idea. Thank you, Thompson Sky Productions, for a $10 super chat. Will there be a V3 Bardwell build with the O3? Yes. They're working on... I'm actually a little annoyed. I mean, I know things take time, but the O3 Air unit is out, and they've been working on an updated front end for the QAVS to fit the O3 since the O3 came out, and it's still not ready. And I'm certainly not one to complain, because manufacturers send me products and they say, will you review this product? And then 3 months later I review the product and they're like, yeah, that we wanted you to do it faster. So I get it. Stuff takes time. But on the other side of the coin, people want to build it and it's not ready. And lots of other frames have their O3 design ready to go, and mine isn't ready to go. So that's annoying. Okay. Moon Phaser says, I had to flash 251 for Express LRS on the Bardwell V2 edition to bind with my Radio Master Zorro. Moon Phaser, the bottom line is that your radio and your receiver have to have the same firmware on them. It would have been better to flash to 3.0, whichever one of them was not on 3.0. Flash them both to 3.0 and get on with your day. would be my advice. But yeah, if they don't match, like, for example, have Happy Model receivers started shipping with firmware 3.0 on them? Well, they weren't, 10 months ago, whatever, I recorded those videos. But if they are now, then you'll need to take that into account. Let's see here. Any thoughts? Chainsaw FPV wants to know. Any thoughts on raising the drone weight limit? Yeah, I think it would be great. I think raising the weight limit to 1 kilogram is not like the only thing I would like, but it would be great to have that. And because it would open up more, it would make fewer people be breaking the rules. And that's always a good thing. Why are most goggle modules sold out everywhere? Asks Ryan. Well, there's most everything is sold out everywhere. If you're looking for stuff that's in stock, don't forget that searchfpv.com. Ooh, we got unmanned tech. That's exciting. They just got added. That's really exciting. Searchfpv.com is an FPV product search engine where you can search for stuff in specific regions. Like, for example, I'm going to search just in the USA because that's where I prefer to shop. And we can search for in stock only. For example, TBS Fusion. Can I find a Fusion module in stock in the USA? Let's see here. Fusion hardware upgrade board. That's close, but no cigar. No. Looks like the answer is no. Damn. Oh well. Well, now I know. What about an emergency rapid fire? That is searchfpv.com. Ah, now we can buy rapid fire in stock. There you go at Race Day Quads. Not get FPV. Didn't I pick in stock only? Oh well, I guess I didn't. Boom. There you go. So if you're having trouble finding stuff that's in stock, use searchfpv.com. Square One, thank you for a €10 super chat. I'd love to spend 10 days in the USA for an FPV-oriented trip. First Miami, then Atlanta, and then Rotor Riot Rampage. Any advice for the rest of my trip? Stay around Atlanta, go back to Florida, elsewhere? Miami is tough. When I was down there, I wanted to hook up with some of the folks down there and fly, and many of the locations are difficult to fly at legally. I don't know, if there's... I would want to be somewhere where I could get in touch with locals who could take me to fly cool places. I think Atlanta is a must-have. You're going to want to be in Atlanta over the weekend, though. During the week, many of the coolest spots to fly in Atlanta will be occupied. A lot of the cool spots in Atlanta are office parks and office buildings, but on Sunday, they're often empty and you can fly them. Again, I would want to get a hold of somebody local who could take me to the cool spots. And Atlanta's not that far from where Rampage is being held. I mean, you are aware that it's like a 14... Well, no, that's to Knoxville. It's like an 11-hour drive from Miami to Atlanta, right? If you're not really... If you're from Europe, perhaps... And I don't want to presume, perhaps you don't fully grasp how large the United States is. But like, if you're in Atlanta, I would say, well, there's some cool places to fly in Raleigh. Well, Raleigh to Atlanta is, I don't know, it's like 4 hours, 6 hours. Raleigh to Atlanta. Six hours, 13 minutes. So, like, if you're willing to drive for, like, basically a whole day, there's other cool places you could go. But there's plenty to do in Atlanta. What I would say is get a hold of a local who says they'll take you to cool spots and then just let them show you around. I would say if you intend to go, so you're going to start out in Barnwell at Rampage, is that right? You're starting at Rampage? Where are you going then? You going from Barnwell down to Miami? I mean, that's a hell of a thing. Obviously, if you go through Orlando, you could see where the Rotoride office is and see about that. I've had some really good flying in Sarasota, which is where Get FPV is headquartered. Unfortunately, they're on the complete other side of the peninsula from Orlando. So if you're coming from Miami, like going from Miami to Sarasota is going to be a bit of a slog and not really get you any closer to Orlando. Sarasota was really fun, though. Yeah. Get a hold of locals and then talk to them about where's good to fly and when's good to fly. Aaron Johnson, thank you for a $5 super chat. I made the leap to Goggles 2 from the Goggles 1. Are the V1s good for anything anymore? Is there any way someone could spectate with the V1s? Aaron Johnson, why did you switch from the V1 to the V2? And I don't want to make you feel bad for spending money. I worry that what I'm going to say is going to make you sound like I'm criticizing your decision. I guess in a way it is. The only reason I can think of to switch from the V1 to the V2 is that you plan to fly the O3 Air unit. If you're flying Vistas, is there any advantage to the V2 goggles? Can it chat? Oh, Goggles 2. Oh, the Goggles 2. Okay, I take it back. Thank you, chat. He switched to the Goggles 2. Oh, no, the V1s... nope, the V1s are not good for anything anymore. The V1s cannot interact with the O3 at all. And all of your Vistas, if you update the firmware on the Vistas to make them compatible with the Goggles 2, then they also can't work with the V1s. So sell the V1s. Get some of your money back. Switz69 asks, thank you for a $5 super chat, Switz. Will you be doing a video with Goggle like you did for Walk Snail for the HD0 module? Will you be doing a video? Oh, will I be testing the HD0 module? It's going to be the same. Switz69, it's good. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it's going to be the same. Because what we were testing there was the HDMI input of the goggles. The goggle doesn't care if it's getting input from a Walk Snail or an HD0 box. In the same way that the Cobra X had high latency when used with the Walk Snail, it will also have high latency when used with HD0. So I'm not going to do that because the results, I would expect the results would be the same. Philly Style, thank you for a $2 super chat and a request to check the Discord for the question. Okay. Philly Style. Well, let's see here. Where's Philly Style's question? Philly Style, I don't see your question. Will you repost your question, Philly Style? Neil Kamara. Kamara. Neil Kamara says, I have the Luminaire Axie HD patch antenna. What's the point of this antenna if I'll set my goggles to 25 megabits per second? Neil, that antenna is going to give you more signal strength no matter what bitrate you're set to. I'm a little confused as to why you think that the bitrate, the fact that you're running at 25 megabits per second means this antenna has no point. If you run at 25 megabits per second, you'll get a certain amount of range and a certain amount of image resolution. And switching from Omnis to the Axie will extend that. That's true if you're using at 50 megabits per second as well. So I think there's some confusion here about the interaction between the antennas and the bitrate. Or maybe there's something I'm missing. Philly Style, please repost your question so that I can answer it. Jonas, thank you for a $10 super chat. What are your thoughts on the durability and longevity of the AOS 5 V2 frame? Jonas, the AOS 5 V2's main weak spot is the arms break. Easier than some people would like. If you're looking for a frame that's a serious basher, I think the AOS is not it. It's designed more to be lightweight. It's not that it isn't durable at all, but it does break more than some people would like. If you're flying it and crashing it on grass and trees like I am, I think I'm happy with it. I'm happy with its durability, and I like the fact that it flies really well. Quad Test, I spent 20 minutes at the beginning of the live stream talking about the Freedom Coalition video, so we're not going to rehash that. But yes, I agree. Tom John wants to know, will TikTok JB ever come back? Will TikTok JB ever make a return? That was the best JB era to date. I am not on TikTok anymore. I deleted TikTok off my phone. Is it because the Chinese government is spying on me? No. I don't give a crap about that. If the Chinese government wants to spy on me, fine. Whatever. The U.S. government's spying on me? Well, the Chinese government spy on me. Everybody spy on me. Take my data. I deleted TikTok off my phone because the TikTok algorithm is scarily good. I deleted TikTok off my phone for the same reason that I stopped smoking crack. We don't talk about that time of my life. No, I'm just joking. TikTok was so good at manipulating. It is so good at manipulating your brain's dopamine system. It is so good at giving you stuff that you like every now and then. And I would go to bed and I'd settle down in bed. I'd be like, okay, just spend, you spend a couple minutes on your phone, read some whatever, just winding down before bedtime. And I'd just fire up TikTok, and then 2 hours later, it'd be 2 a.m. and I'd be like, what am I doing? What am I doing? Just whoosh, 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 whoosh. And I was like, this isn't good for me. And I deleted it. I was like, forget it. I'm done with TikTok. And so now I still watch YouTube Shorts every now and then, or Facebook Reels, God forbid. And a lot of that content is just regurgitated TikTok content. But the YouTube and Facebook algorithm is much worse than the TikTok algorithm. So I swipe it a little bit. I watch a couple, then I finish using the bathroom, I clean up, and I get up and I leave, and I don't spend 2 hours sitting there swiping. Or whatever. TikTok was too good. So I deleted it. And that means I'm not making TikTok content anymore either. Why have Wesley Vardy's videos been taken down? Asks Carrie Miller. Wesley got a letter from the CASA. He's in trouble with the law, basically. So he took down all the videos that might implicate him as having done illegal things. LC Zeb Angling says, for a brand new freestyle pilot, what is it going to cost me to get a nice setup? How about $1,200? Yeah, that seems about right. Maybe a little more these days. Philly Style, I still don't see your question being reposted. I'm going to try to find it. Today at 8:47 p.m. Philly Style, I think this is your question, so I'm going to go ahead and answer it. And I hope you get the answer. Oh, there it is. He did repost it. Thank you, Philly Style. I have a Diamond Board AIO that all of a sudden, the video just kind of turned muddy. It's not picking it up. That's weird. It gets great signal and no breakup. I checked the antennas. They're just little wire antennas and seem fine. Why is the video not clear? Philly Style, I don't think it's likely that the VTX or the antennas could cause the video to turn muddy. I would think that's a camera issue. So, like, is the camera out of focus? Can you swap it to a different camera? To me, that's a camera issue. That's what I would say about that. Oh, gosh darn it. I swapped cameras and still the same thing. Damn it. CQB FPV says if we don't comply, they can't enforce the law. Philly Style, hold on a second. I'm so tired. I'm so tired of that argument. I'm so tired of that argument. Absolutely, they can enforce the law. They will just fine the ones that they catch. Why do you think they can't? It's not flying FPV in violation of FAA regulations is not an act of civil disobedience, okay? And here's why I say that. If you look at historical acts of civil disobedience, colored people are not allowed to sit at the lunch counter. So colored people go and they sit at the lunch counter until police remove them. That's an act of civil disobedience. And what makes it meaningful is that it breaks the rule in a way that forces the system to deal with you. You see what I mean? Flying a drone without remote ID on it, no one will notice. You're not committing an act of civil disobedience. No one will care. No one will notice. And then, if they do notice, they will fine you. When a bunch of people, civil rights activists, descend on a city and march in the streets, and traffic can't flow, and they are visible, and they cannot be ignored, when they have a sit-in, and now the courthouse can't do business because there's a bunch of people sitting in there, and they have to be removed by police officers, and it disrupts the status quo, and it forces the implicit violence of the system to be made explicit, so it cannot be ignored. And those actions can have a meaningful effect and cause change. But when you ignore and you're not the only one who said this. People say, XJet, Bruce Simpson has said, part of the problem is that so many people complied with this rule. And if they hadn't complied, then none of this would have happened. I'm putting words in Bruce's mouth, and I shouldn't do that. He didn't say those exact words. If no one had complied, the rule still would have been passed because the non-compliance is not meaningful civil disobedience. It is completely invisible to almost everyone. And then when it becomes visible, they've punished the person and fined them. And then what happens? This is not a situation where a person commits an act of civil disobedience and then police with batons come in and beat them and pepper spray them and put dogs on them, and other people are horrified and go, oh my God, what are we doing? We can't, and it invokes their humanity, they just fine you. And then everybody goes, lol. And then what? So comply if you want to comply. Don't comply if you don't want to comply. But don't kid yourself that non-compliance is a meaningful form of civil disobedience that will have any effect, in my opinion. Okay. Simply ignoring rules is not enough to change them. You have to break the rules in a way that is meaningful, in a way that disrupts the systems, and in a way that causes people to see the injustice of the rule and come over to your side. Otherwise, you're just breaking the rule to your own benefit. Okay. Philly Style, coming back to your question about the camera. You swap cameras and still the same thing. I think, Philly Style, you have to go in for process of elimination at this point. You have to try a different flight controller. It is possible for a VTX to make a camera muddy. I think it's really unlikely, but I think you just have to go in for process of elimination at this point. And I also disagree with those who make the argument that compliance with the law is not compatible with fighting it. Okay? I can work to change something while still trying to avoid the consequences of breaking the rule. Okay? If I go out and I blatantly break these rules and I get fined and I have to pay the FAA thousands of dollars, that's thousands of dollars that I could have donated to the FPV Freedom Coalition or whatever, or spent on expensive bottles of bourbon or whatever. So if breaking the rule has a meaningful effect, then it is worth the cost of breaking the risk of breaking the rule to have that meaningful effect. But if breaking the rule has no meaningful effect, then maybe comply with the rule while still fighting it. Or break the rule, but don't do it in a freaking obvious way that causes you to immediately get consequences. Okay. Johnny Come Lately, the trick to getting a question answered on stream is to leave a super chat. I do give priority to the Discord server because you guys are my patrons, but it's not 100%. Are you trying to bind Express LRS? There you go. I mean, I don't... wait, I do have a video. Hang on, Johnny. That's for Express LRS, Johnny. Not for updating, like with EdgeTX. You have to be able to piece it together, Johnny, because it's rare to find someone who has your exact hardware. Like, for example, I was gonna show you, Johnny, I was gonna send you to, I was gonna send you to this video, Johnny, Not this exact one, but in this playlist. Johnny, this video has has a Zorro and has the complete setup. I'm going to give you this video anyway, Johnny. This video has the complete setup of a Zorro with Express LRS. However, it's on Express LRS 2.x because 3.x didn't exist when I made this video. So finding a video today that exactly matches your hardware is going to be difficult. And you kind of have to just piece it together as best you can. Thank you, SLDR, for a $5 super chat. Mobula 6 won't take off. Motors spin fine in beta flight, but it spazzes out when I throttle up and no lift ESC issue. SLDR, we're going to watch your video. I already think I know what the answer is, but we're going to watch your video anyway and see what we get. Here, let's get the sound in here as well. Desktop. Oh. I mean, I think I can see that your props are spinning backwards because this rubber band is getting blown upwards, right? Yeah, your props are spinning backwards, dude. Or your props are... Could his props be on wrong? I don't think so. Like, this rubber band is being blown upward instead of getting sucked down into the motors. So your props are spinning the wrong way.
You guys have seen...
How did that happen? How did that happen? I don't think your props can be on wrong because the quad would flip out. Yeah, the air is blowing up, dude. It can't be upside down because tiny whip props don't go on upside down. Oh, yes, they do. Have you got your props on upside down? You say the props are on right. Okay, I'm going to take you at your word that the props are on right. What I would do is go into beta flight and change the motor directions. No. I tried both ways. Well, don't try both ways. Just figure out which way is the right way and do it the right way. If the props definitely are on correctly, then go into beta flight and change the motor direction. But I don't think you have the props on right, with all due respect. If the props were in the wrong place, the quad would flip out. How do you know if a prop is on upside down? Johnny, the lettering embossed in the prop is always on the top. That's one way to do it. You can see the props at the start of the video. All right. Well, unfortunately, this is a frickin' YouTube short, so I don't see any way to actually roll the video back and rewind it.
You guys have seen...
Okay, I can see the props. Hang on. Hang on. Can I make this bigger? Can I make this bigger? Can I zoom in here? Oh, well, I already see a problem. Hold on. I already see a freaking problem. All your props are on... You have all left-handed props, dude. No, they're not okay. Look. This is a counterclockwise prop. This is also a counterclockwise prop. All four of them are counterclockwise props. That's step one. That's wrong. So when you said the props are on right, no. You need two clockwise and two counterclockwise props. That's where we're going to start. I'll tell you what. Here's what I'm going to do. You need this video. No, go to the actual video, please. You need this video, my man. This is the video you need. No, at least 2 of the props are... Wait, is the front right? Correct? Hang on. Let me see. Did I close? I closed the window. Oh, well. It's gone. That's the video you need, though. Oh, no, I see. No, you're right. You're right. The back right prop is correct. And the front... Oh, you're right. You're right. The front 2 props need to be swapped with each other. But why wasn't... No. There's something else going on here. Why wasn't the rubber band getting sucked downward? Well, is he props in or props out? Or is he props in or props out? Because if he's props in, then he needs to swap the front props. And if he's props out, he needs to swap the back props. Okay. I'm going to assume the motor directions are correct. Okay. And this is why I never believe you when you tell me the props are on right. Or whatever it is you're telling me. And I say, well, have you checked this? And you're like, yeah, I checked it. It's fine. And I'm like, are you sure? I never believe you. Finton. Good to see you there. I'm building a 5-inch with the intention of using it for cinematic mid-range shots, but I know it will be heavy. How can I get 5-minute plus flights with a GoPro 10, a VD5 frame, and a CNHL 1300 milliamp hour? If you're not going balls to the wall, you should easily get 5-minute flights with that build. If you're just cruising, you should build. I mean, why does it have to be a 5-inch? Can it be a 6-inch? Because the GoPro 10 is chunky boy. That's exactly right. Riat9 says, everything is correct, but it doesn't work. Yes, I've had that thought many times while answering emails. I say, oh, here are some of the things that could be. And they say, well, all of those are fine. And I'm like, well, something isn't right. It's not working. So let's check them. Let's check these things. Yeah, you should really do, Finton, you should really do a 6-inch or a 7-inch. If you have to have a 5-inch, I think you should get 5-minute flights. Not much more, but 5-minute flights, as long as you're not just really abusing the throttle. How do you think about WTFOS compatibility for those of us who upgraded the V2s to the 07 non-downgradable version? Thank you for a $5 super chat, Derek. Yes, Derek. You need butter. If you've got the DJI... Hello, Joshua. Oh, I really got to trim my beard. Look how trim he looks. I haven't cut my beard in like 3 weeks. You need this video. This is for Derek Melton. Derek Melton, this is the video you need. You can roll back the firmware on those V2s and root them. That's how to do it. I don't know. You think I look better with a longer beard? I don't know. It's tough. I think I look, I don't know. Let's see. Let's start a poll. All right, we're going to do a poll. I think I look younger with it shorter. IV2 goggles, then in my, I mean, not that that's a priority for me. In my opinion, rooting. think you can see the shape of my face better. I mean, I do have a chin, which means I should probably not go long beard. Long beard is good if you don't have a chin. The butter video, I think I accidentally used too short of a... Oh, no, I know what happened. The reason the butter video looks scraggly is that I was cutting it, and I usually cut with the grain, as you're supposed to do. And I accidentally got in there and started going against the grain. I don't know why, I just was absent-minded. And then it cut shorter. So then I had to do the whole thing against the grain, and it was shorter. Anyway, now you know my secrets. Adrian Clemens, thank you for a $10 super chat. I didn't see a question, Adrian. But thank you for the super chat. Let's see here. Jonas, thank you for a 10 Canadian dollars. If I was planning to fly exclusively analog, do you think I'd be better served by the Orca FPV-1 pilots or the HD0 goggles? That's tough. The Orca FPV-1 pilots are significantly less expensive, at least today, and you can get them today, whereas the HD0 is on back order. The Orcas are really good. HD0 has a little bit of a better DVR. I'm not sure, and they have the deinterlacer. I would, if you really fly just analog, I think probably Orca is better. Like, given the sort of given the price difference and the fact that the module isn't hanging off the side of your head, the Orcas are very, very nice. The HD0s are very, very nice. The Orcas are native 4.3, which is also an advantage if you fly 4.3 analog, which most people do, I think. I think I would lean toward the Orca, but I would feel bad about it. That's what I would say. Blizzard FPV. Blizzard's looking for a Sunny Sky 2216 650 kV motor. Okay. Thank you for $5. If anyone has one, hit him up. Also, Blizzard says thanks to Marcel off Axis FPV for the prints. Schubert Technologies, thanks for a $2 super chat. Just saying thanks for all your help. And AJ, thank you for a $20 super chat. I'm a new guy here, and I wouldn't be where I am this quickly without JB. Thanks. Thank you, AJ. Thank you for that. Those kind words. Genjitsu wants to know how to get one of my challenge coins. There is no. They're very exclusive. Is the short version, Genjitsu. I usually only give them out to people that I meet or work with in person. It's not 100%, but there isn't like, a weekly giveaway where I give away a challenge coin. When I got them, I kind of wanted them to be a personal touch. I've been given challenge coins when I was first presented with challenge coins, from people who I'd sort of worked with or gotten to meet. They had a certain meaning for me, and it just is probably by coincidence that, like, I know that Bachreiter gives away challenge coins. He does a different challenge coin every month, or I don't know how often he does it, but he'll do his contests and he'll give away challenge coins. That just wasn't how I first encountered them, and so to me, when I had mine made, the meaning was a little bit different. They weren't just like a memento that I was just going to give away for $20, or, if you win a contest, boom, you get a challenge coin. I know that not everybody shares that, and there's nothing wrong with that, but that's how I feel about it. So, the surest way to get a challenge coin, if you really wanted one. So on my Discord server, there is a role called Know-It-All. And the know-it-alls are people who have been noticed being helpful on the server. And they get tagged as a know-it-all, and they show up in yellow on the server. And they help people. And there's no surefire way to be a know-it-all. You just have to be on the server and then be helpful. And then someone has to notice you being helpful consistently. And then eventually someone says, hey, so-and-so has been doing a real good job. Should we make him a know-all? In fact, I should probably check and see if there's anybody who needs to be promoted, because we haven't done a round in a while. So the know-it-alls on my server all get a challenge coin as just my way of thanking them for the work that they do on the server. And if you did want one, that's probably I don't know why you would do that. It's an enormous amount of work, but that's probably the surest way to get one. When people hire me to do training, occasionally I get hired to go do drone training. I usually give challenge coins to the students. That was actually when I first encountered it, was in that context. So I thought, if these guys are going to give me challenge coins, that's actually what motivated me. What motivated me to get challenge coins made was I went and did training for a organization that had challenge coins. And at the end of the training, they gave me a challenge coin for their organization. And it was, I was proud to get it, and it was kind of meaningful. And then when I went back to do another training, I was like, I'm going to bring my own challenge coins, and I'm going to give them challenge coins as a way of, because it was meaningful when they gave me one. So, Phantom FPV, how are you, man? Good to see you, my friend. Anyway, Thurberg got one. How did you get one, Thurberg? I think I might have given one away at Rampage. Let's see here. Go back to live stream chat. I do have, I think I traded one with Jason Aviator. There we go. It's not Sam, has a picture of it. It's not Sam. You're right. I did give some of them away with the signed DVDs. I was conflicted about that because I was essentially selling them. But I thought that for people who helped support the movie, I wanted to be able to contribute and support the movie. So, Oliver W. really wants to know, he's been asking for a while, I guess we're going to finally answer it. What was your first drone and how long have you been flying? It was a flight test electro hub, and I built it, I think, in 2015. I think so. Johnny Come Lately wants to know, is there anything different between the JB TX16S and the non-JB? No, just the color and the logo. And I get some money when you buy the JB version, so I appreciate that. When I first reached out to Radio Master, I didn't realize, and this is just me being not dumb. This is not in any way a criticism of Radio Master. I didn't realize that Radio Master was going to do like a Lumineer special edition. They had all these special editions, and I thought, okay, I'll do the JB Special Edition, but I don't want to just make a cosmetic upgrade. I'm going to do something that has never been done before. My Radio Master TX16S will have Express LRS in it. And I went to Radio Master. I said, I want to do one. I want to do a custom TX, because they had asked me, do you want to do one? And I was like, not if it's just a cosmetic upgrade. That's not really my thing. But I went back to him and I said, let's put Express LRS in it. And then, yes. And they were like, okay, yeah, let's do it. And then the TX16S Mark II came out, and they all had Express LRS in it. And I was like, wait, I thought, okay, I see, I was confused. So, nope, it's just cosmetic, and you support me. But there you go. It has my sound pack on it. That's true, but anybody can put my sound pack on their radio. It's just nothing exclusive. But it comes with it, so that's nice. I think they were going to do that anyway. Blizzard FPV says, somebody gifted me a KK2 Mini and a tricopter. Put that thing in a museum, man. Don't fly it. Just put that thing in a museum. Tweak FPV, thank you for a $20 super chat. Appreciate the donation, man. Zeus MW wants to know, why does my 4K Hero 11 footage not look any good on YouTube? Zeus, YouTube doesn't give good bit rate to your footage. So I assume you're uploading in 4K at 100 megabits per second or whatever, but YouTube is only giving it 25 or 35 megabits per second. If you're uploading in 4K, there's really not a lot you can do to make YouTube give you more bit rate. There just isn't. That's just the best it's going to be. And if you're thinking to yourself, but I've seen other people 4K footage look better. Yup. YouTube gives better bit rate and better image quality to larger channels. And again, there's nothing you could do about that to like force them to give you better. Now, if you were working with 1080p footage, what I would say is render it at 4K and upload it at 4K. And YouTube will give it 4K worth of bit rate, even though it's only 1080p footage, and it'll look much better. But if you're working with 4K footage, there's nothing for you to do. You upload it in 4K, YouTube plays it in 4K, and there's not a lot you can do to make it look better. .608, is there a way to force YouTube to give you the VP9 codec, even if you're a small channel? That would be news to me, but it would be interesting news. How can you do that? Johnny Come Lately reminds us that YouTube sometimes takes a while to process 4K footage, and so it may look bad in the first few hours and then get better. It's worth pointing out. Does it matter if he exports in H.265 versus H.264? Will YouTube look better if he uploads in H.265? Philly Style, thanks for a $2 super chat. I see you're not caught up. I answered your question earlier on the stream. I'm happy to DM with you about it if you missed it. Tom John and Brandon Beans have a good insight, which is that if you have a very sharp image with H.264 and lots of motion, it's not going to look good. And you can actually, because there's too much detail for the bitrate and the encoder just can't handle it. And that by using a ND filter to get more motion blur, you can get a better looking image out of YouTube because you're essentially removing a lot of the details. But they're details that you maybe didn't want anyway. I'm positive you can upload to YouTube in H.265. My default upload settings are H.265 4K. Delon wants to know, what do you think about double-sided sticky tape to mount an HD Zero Freestyle VTX on a 20x20 rear end? I wouldn't use sticky tape by itself, but sticky tape with like some electrical tape over it or a couple zip ties would work well. Cozy wants to know, do you plan on using the Goggles 2 and the O3 on your personal builds? No. To me, there's a couple things about the O3. So here's why I'm not switching to the O3. The O3 looks amazing. It has poor dynamic range and low light sensitivity. And the O3 camera is significantly less durable than the V2 camera. Specifically, the lens gets beat up and scratched up really easily. All in all, for freestyle, I think that the V2 is better. You can see more details. You have less resolution, and it doesn't like look as good, but you can see more details in the shadows, especially with the V2 than the O3. A lot of people don't agree and are switching to the O3 because it just looks freaking amazing. And let's not forget that the O3 gives you the option of not running a GoPro, which is that's a big plus. If you can get good quality recordings off the O3 with no GoPro on board, that's a lot of weight savings and a lot of potential expense and hassle not having to do the goddamn Best Buy trip every time you break a damn camera. O3 can do flat profile. It can. And you can get good results out of it. But I personally am not swapping. If I was going to switch to the O3, I would commit to never running a GoPro on that build. For freestyle. For cinematic stuff, you know, obviously you're going to want a GoPro. If I were going to commit to O3 for freestyle, I would justify that decision by not buying any more GoPros and just running the O3. But the dynamic range, I'm a sucker for dynamic range. I want high dynamic range. I want shadow detail. And I really don't like it when I see black shadows. To the point where, like my editor, if he were left to his own devices, I think he would do a much more sort of cinematic grade, you know, with higher contrast. And I'm always like, can you make it more low contrast? Can you make it more dynamic range? You know? Like, I don't think you can get replacement lenses for the O3 yet, Cat and Kazi, although I hear that some people are working on that. The lens is super easy to scratch. Eric Toft, you can lock the shutter speed, etc. on the O3. See, everybody's like, I don't know, I'm switching to the O3. I've switched to the O3. Yeah, well, I'm the odd man out, I guess. Nobody told me that I was supposed to be selling out and switching to the 03. My Photoshop is locked up. Where's Photoshop? Tico Snaps, thank you for a $2 super chat. We need more JB drone shirts. Only like 3 online. I've got my Teespring store. Has some shirts. Unfortunately, I think that some people have complained about how long it takes to ship these orders. I'm not sure how Teespring works, but somebody reached out to me and was like, why is it taking so long to ship my shirt? And I was like, I don't know. Teespring is in charge of that. Oh, whoops. This is not my store. What is this? There we go. Yeah. So I have a bunch of shirts. I guess these aren't Bardwell shirts specifically. The Broken Arm is my personal, like, that's my sort of favorite. So that's out there. Who does your shirt, Super Deluxe? No word on the Goggles 2 light release, Ronnie Fay. No one, I'm not even 100% sure that's a real product at this point. Fenton says, if I were to upgrade to 6 inches, could I keep all the same hardware? Yeah, those 2306 motors will handle 6 inches okay. It'd be better to have like 24 millimeter motors, but it'll be okay. Just get some longer arms and try 6-inch props. 100%. Give it a try. Fuzz FPV says, what's a drone you did not expect to fly as much as you do? Well, that's a good question, Fuzz. What's a drone I did not expect to fly as much as I do? The AOS 5 Bind and Fly from iFlight. It's not that I specifically didn't expect to fly that one. It's just usually stuff I get for reviews. I fly it till I'm done reviewing it, and then I don't fly it anymore. But I ended up using that for my Spang series. I'm currently on day 6 of 30 after 4 months. So, you know, slowly but surely. And I keep going back and flying it, and it flies really well. Yeah. That's probably a little bit of a boring answer, but there you go. Yeah, I also do my shirts on Teespring, but Teespring is not perfect. But I'm not going to put the money up to actually do like dye sublimation. David Casada, thank you for a $2 super chat. What stops you from using ArduPilot? That's a good question, David. I've always wanted to do an ArduPilot build, and I just never get around to it because I've always got other stuff that I just like to fly freestyle. That's what I like to do. I mean, I kind of feel like I ought to do an ArduPilot build, like on some level, you know, just educate myself and branch out and make content. But ultimately, I don't enjoy flying that kind of quad. It's not fun for me. It would just be work. I just like to fly freestyle. I'm really annoyed. I'm really annoyed because when I got into the hobby, okay, kids, Grandpa's gonna rant. You had freestyle, you had racing. That was basically it. And then the next thing that I noticed was that Cinewhoops started really picking up, and a lot of people were flying Cinewhoops. I guess probably Tiny Whoops came before Cinewhoops. Tiny Whoops never felt like a threat in the way, like, Tiny Whoops and like race 5-inch drones, whatever, they were distinct enough. They didn't really seem to overlap or compete. So a lot of people did all of it. And Cinewhoops came out, and Cinewhoops also, I like flying Tiny Whoops. Like, I don't fly them as much as somebody like Ciotti, but I like flying Cinewhoops, doing racing. I'm sorry, Tiny Whoops. And then Cinewhoops came out, and I was like, I don't really care about this. I just wasn't that interested in it. Slow cinematic flying, big deal. And they got bigger and bigger and bigger. And at some point I looked up and I was like, there's this huge chunk of FPV that I'm just not really having anything to do with. Is this a problem? And then now we have Cinelifters, we have 7-inch long range, we have all these categories. And I'm just like, I just doing my thing over here with my freestyle drones. And I don't know. On some level, I'm like, I don't even know how I would, like, be an expert at all of that. So I just do my thing. Wow, Black Jungle. That is a majestic beard. Black Jungle. Oh, right, I got a poll up about the length of my beard. People like my beard longer. 62% like it longer. Fair enough. Good to see you here, Ian. Ian Bible is here. I haven't seen you in a while, man. Haven't seen you in a while. Coming out to a race. I'm just going to do whatever I would have done anyway. But I appreciate the poll. It is majestic. What does my wife say about my beard? I don't think she likes it. I think she likes me better with a beard than when I was clean shaven. I think she tries to be like non-judgmental and like, however you want to wear your hair, it's fine with me. I'll love you anyway. But I'm pretty sure she likes the beard better. What do you think is the overall state of the FPV industry? Tony Briz wants to know. Is the hobby growing, shrinking, or stagnant? Handful of well-known pilots no longer fly. I think that sales numbers are down. I think a lot of YouTube channels are seeing lower views. I think that there definitely are people who are hearing about regulations and are saying, this is too much trouble, I'm not going to deal with it. That is offset, as always, by new people coming into the hobby. I couldn't say whether that's being, whether which one of those is bigger. It's exciting to see new ways that FPV is making its way into places where it hadn't been before, not just as a hobby. To see people with, FPV rock crawlers, to see cinema drones using FPV, which has really blown up in the last 2 or 3 years. Funny choice of words. To see FPV drones being used in military applications, which have also blown up in the last couple of years. I'm talking about like some of the footage out of Ukraine. We're not going to go there, but it's interesting to see FPV branching out into the wider culture in some ways more than it ever has, while at the same time, the actual sort of on-the-ground hobby of FPV is, I feel like it probably is not growing as fast as it has at other points. I'm sure that, I'm sure that sales are down because, well, prices are really high, and they're probably going to stay high. So I know that sales are down, for whatever that means. Yeah. It's hard to judge. It's hard to judge what the future will hold, that's for sure. Yeah. 608 says they've been doing market research on this exact thing since January. What have you found, 608? Just posted it. Oh. Aiden, thank you for a $5 Australian super chat. This is the first time I've caught you live, but I love your content, and I really appreciate all you do for the FPV world. Thank you, Aiden. That's very kind of you. I appreciate the kind words. Aerobrat says sales are down significantly. I mean, obviously, some stores are going to be doing better. Some stores are going to be doing worse. Some stores have gone out of business. I feel pretty confident that over, let's say, all of the United States, sales are down in 2022 compared to, say, 2021 or 2020. So there were some months in 2020 where I think there were some record sales months in 2020. And that was a weird fluke where everybody in the USA got a $1,200 stimulus check and 2 weeks to stay at home and weren't allowed to go to work. And a whole bunch of those people bought FPV gear. My emails in spring of 2020 tripled. From the number of emails I get on a daily basis, literally tripled. And I'm confident that some stores had one of their best months in the last 5 years in that time frame. That was a little bit of a fluke, though. And I think that currently sales across the United States of FPV stuff are down. If you were to compare, and I think you need like a 5-year plot to really make sense of these numbers. Because if you go back to 2000, that's more than 5 years, Jesus. You need a 10-year plot. So if you go back to like 2014, FPV as a hobby basically didn't exist. And so then from 2014 to like 2019 or so, I think the numbers were trending upward. I think somewhere around 2018, 2019, we started seeing a little bit more of a flattening, I would guess. Again, now I'm just talking out my ass, so please don't give this too much credibility. But it feels like that was one of the times, because sort of stuff goes in fits and starts. And so you'll get this big spike where a whole bunch of new people are coming in, and then it'll kind of taper off, and some people go, the hobby's dying. And then you get another spike. So it's hard to know the overall trend. It's very difficult. But I think sometime in the 2018-19 timeframe was when there seemed to be a little bit of a sort of a tapering off. Then 2020, a big artificial spike due to stimulus checks and lockdowns. I can't think of what else would explain it. And then from there, but then that 2020, then after 2020, it was when prices just went through the roof. I think prices held, if my memory is correct, I remember prices holding until about the end of 2020. And then there was the silicone shortage. And then sometime in the 2021 timeframe, prices started going up. And now prices are 3 times what they were even 2020. Never mind earlier. And I think that this is, I think that's having a significant effect on sales. So, but the question is, you know, is it dying? Is it stagnant? Again, there's always ups and downs. FPV was a hobby. It was a fun, viable hobby when there were 50,000 people around the world doing FPV. It'll be great when there's 500,000. It'll be great if we go back to being 100,000. You know, who knows? I'm going to keep flying. No Fear FPV wants to know. Thank you for a $5 super chat, No Fear. What's the earliest you've seen a kid learn FPV? I've seen a kid as young as 4 fly a quadcopter. At that point, I think it's more about their judgment and safety than their technical skill. And every kid is going to be like my son's 4 years old. There is no, if I give him an RC car, he just slams it into the wall repeatedly. I mean, he's having a great time. He's just, he can drive the car around. That's just what he likes to do with it. So I would never give him a quadcopter. That's pretty extreme. But that's the youngest I've seen. Delta Foxtrot wants to know, do you think the Betaflight devs will ever give us position hold? No. No, I'm joking. I think somebody's working on that right now. I believe that can anybody confirm? I thought I heard someone was working on that right now. Run Puppy FPV, thanks for a $5 super chat. Run Puppy says, has 4 point. What's your question, Run Puppy? I see you didn't get to type your super chat. What's your question? X-Air Mark II combo or iFlight Crystal patch? Run Puppy, X-Air Mark II is going to give you better range and penetration. iFlight Crystal is going to be easier to live with because it will be easier to put away without taking the antennas off. Bear in mind that bear in mind that Wesley Vardy was able to hit the 13-kilometer DJI range limit on the Crystal patch. So, for long range, you don't need a higher gain, although it is nice to have higher gain. Rancid Blowfish. What a great name, by the way. Rancid Blowfish says, I'm a first-time builder. My question is, my VTX has 5 wires, red, black, yellow, green, and blue. Where do they go on the flight controller? The right answer is that you need to look up the pinout diagram for your VTX. Like, I could guess that red is power, black is ground, yellow is video, and then green and blue are probably smart audio and a microphone. But, for example, that red power wire, what voltage does your video transmitter take? You have to look it up. So you need to look up your VTX pinout diagram. That's the answer. Good to see you, Wesley Vardy. Wesley Vardy will not be doing long-range tests, Steve Jobs. I don't mean to speak. I obviously, he can speak for himself, but yeah, I'm going to guess no. I'm going to guess no. BMN FPV says, don't let him take you without a fight, Wesley Vardy. Here's the thing. I'm not going to talk about Wesley, but you should always defend your rights. Okay? Always make them prove you guilty. And if you are going to help them prove that you're guilty or admit that you're guilty, make sure you get a concession in exchange for that. at the same time, there are times in life when they've got you dead to rights. And during those times, fighting like your life was on the line may not be what's in your best interests. Right? See what I mean? If you're the times when it makes the most sense to plead and say, how can I help make this process go smoother? The times when you're legitimately guilty are probably the majority of the times when it makes the most sense to plead and try to make the process go smoother instead of fighting. If you're sure you can win, then fight. And if you don't feel like the concession that you're being offered in exchange for admitting guilt is valuable enough, then make them prove you guilty. But we're not talking about, well, if we were in the USA, we wouldn't be talking about a criminal trial where you're innocent until proven guilty. We would be talking about a civil infraction imposed by a federal agency. And you have a lot less protection against abuse of your rights in that structure, in that mechanism. Oh, what's the word I'm looking for? In that system. So when the FAA comes knocking and says, Mr. Bardwell, we see that you've posted some long-range test flights where you show yourself clearly flying outside a visual line of sight. You say you flew 40 kilometers. You say the date and time, and you held up the controller and said, I am the pilot in command here, and no one else is doing this. And we think those violate the rules. If that were to happen, that would be a good time to go, okay, they got me. Now, how am I going to get out of this as well as, as well as I can? As opposed to go, nuh-uh, you're not taking me without a fight. Like, no, you did it. So. Yeah. I hope that Wesley is carefully considering his options. I hope that he's in contact with someone who's a legal expert who can advise him on the best way to approach this. And I hope that at the end of the day, he comes out of it with as little pain as possible. And I'm sorry. I'm legitimately sorry. I always wondered, like, how is he doing these flights? Is it legal where he is? I guess I'm not going to ask too many questions. I regret that we will no longer have the benefit of his data, his great content and data that nobody else was doing. I think it would be amazing if he could find a way to do that kind of work and not get in trouble. But I think now that he got his bullseye on his back, that seems unlikely. Eric Toft, and we're not just talking about preponderance of the evidence in a civil case rather than reasonable doubt in a criminal case, although that is relevant. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. Am I wrong that, like, the FAA has their own sort of judges? That when you go before a judge in an FAA case, you're not in the normal, like, federal court system? Am I wrong about that? I could be. I thought that the FAA had their own sort of separate legal process. And eventually, if you don't like what they do, you can sue them in federal court and try to get it overturned. But like that the first step was that the FAA hauls you in front of an FAA investigator and an FAA judge, and they're just like, here's what you did, F you. And you can argue, but it's sort of it's really slanted against you. I could be wrong about that. I'm probably wrong about that. Either way, it's a lot of money to fight a case like that. You really just don't want it to happen. You really just don't want it to happen. Focus FPV, thank you for a $10 super chat. We are going to be wrapping up the stream very soon. But we got a super chat here from Focus. New to the hobby, crazy journey. Started with a DJI Spark and a Mini 3 Pro. Avata, then manual mode Avata, bind and fly, GEPRC M503, and now built from component level 6S H7 because I learned something. Oh, thank you. That's a great story. I was waiting for the question and it never came. So, alrighty, folks, we are going to wrap up. Finton Crea, the Mamba 55 amp will be fine on 6-inch. Don't worry. You'll be fine. All right, folks, we're going to wrap up. It's 10 o'clock. Thank you so much. I will see you tomorrow for the news and throughout the week. But for now, that's going to do it. Happy flying, everybody.